Today I'm joined by Gregg Gohl, CEO of South Dakota's largest real estate firm with nearly 200 agents. But what makes Gregg's story powerful isn't a title, it's how he shows up for people. Blessed by faith and character from his parents, friends who opened doors, mentors who shaped his path, and a beautiful wife who steadied and elevated his every transition, Gregg's life is a testament to what happens when you invest in relationships and let them guide your purpose. This is a conversation about leadership, a calling, and building a life that truly matters. Gregg Gohl,
Dan Keeker.
thank you for entering the arena.
Happy to be here.
Doggone it, you look so young. You haven't aged a bit since college.
I am only 2 years older than you, Dan.
Tell you what, sometimes that makes me
No.
think you're 72 and I'm
Wow.
70, but sometimes
Wow.
it also, especially with a 7-year-old running around in my house,
That's
it makes
true.
me think that
That's
I'm 32 and you're 34.
You feel a lot
so
younger.
which is it?
You feel a lot
But
younger.
but in all honesty, you did graduate 30 plus years ago from college,
Did.
and you don't look that much different. I got a
Really?
little more gray than you.
Really?
You look youthful. What's your
It's a
secret?
lot of work. This just doesn't come naturally, you know.
That's right.
A lot of money's
You've
been
always
spent
had
on
that
this face.
You've always had that radio voice. We weren't always sure if you had the TV face,
Right,
but it's
which I don't.
You've improved.
Which
over
I
the
don't.
years.
No. Well,
You haven't
thank
gone to those doctors here in Sioux Falls
Have
make you
not.
look good.
Have not.
Seriously,
It's
though, what's your
hopeless.
secret? Making some good decisions in this world. It does help keep some stress off.
It does.
You
Happiness.
you
Yeah.
chose your wife, you chose your bride
Yeah.
wisely. That was a good move. You chose your parents early on. That was
I
a
did
good.
not.
That was a good
I
decision.
did not. But
that
that
you
was
made there.
a lucky decision somebody
you-
made. So
You did hit the lottery.
yeah,
On both of those.
I would agree.
And,
I would agree.
and your kiddos too.
Kids are great.
Kids are great.
Yeah.
One more in the house.
Yep. Last one still in the house. 15-year-old. So she's trying to keep me young, not as young as your 7-year-old, but yeah, life's good.
Life is good.
Yeah.
So what is the key? Let's talk about choices for a bit.
Hmm.
You made the choice to go to Augie. You made some decisions that took you where you are, a bit of a journey.
Yeah.
And part of those journeys is learning while you go through and enjoying that adventure. Also is looking forward to the next stages of those transitions.
For sure.
When you go back to that 18, 19-year-old Gregg Gohl, to that college freshman or sophomore,
Yeah.
what are you thinking back then? And can you believe here you are?
Yeah. It's amazing how life directs you or chance happens. And I haven't ventured too far from where I grew up and was born. So I don't lead too exciting of a life in that sense. But back to when I was 18, 19 and chose to go to Augustana here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and stay in town, and not really sure why I made that decision other than it was in my blood. My parents both went there. So I had some history there. So I guess that's where fate steps in and says, this is where you're supposed to be. And I don't know if the rest is history, but a lot has happened since then. But I think because of that choice, whether it was destiny or fate or whatever, a lot of things lined up and friendships happened, like this one 34 years ago is when I met you. And so, yeah, just lots of connections. Obviously met my wife there, and that's obviously played maybe the most significant role in my journey so far. So
2 years my senior, so a bit of a mentor and coach to many during your college experiences, for good or bad.
right, I was gonna say,
I know,
not sure. I was a great mentor back at that time,
but full of talent and full of personality that you were at that point. Your bride certainly saw something in you at that point, as well as many of the others. I'm just thinking back to Augustana and the culture that was there in Sioux Falls. I came from a small town in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I was coming to the big city
Right.
here in Sioux Falls. You stayed here in Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
I have a 17-year-old right now. You have kiddos that have gone off to college and another one coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
Pros and cons going to college in your hometown. We're having that right now at University of Virginia
Yeah.
in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
It's a consideration for our junior in high school.
For sure.
What went well for you there, and what
Yeah.
did you? Some people say, "Hey, I want to get out of home."
Yeah. I have.
Move on for a bit.
So
Do you have any
so
regrets?
no regrets for me. I mean,
Okay.
looking back, it was a fabulous decision. It was a fabulous place for me at that time in my life. I now have the other end of the spectrum as well, because now I have a son who's going to Augustana as a sophomore this year, who's also in town and has chosen to go to a school in his hometown. So I kind of have the parent lens now, looking back on that. But for me, it was a great choice. I was one of those kids that was thrilled to get out of the house and didn't go back home very often.
Mhm.
So I felt like I was away at college. I think some people who stay in town, depending on the type of kid they are, depending on the type of parents they have, probably want them to be around more. My son, who's in town and goes to school in town, comes home way more often than I used to go home. So it was easy for me. I felt like I was away at college. I felt like I was carving my own path and doing my own thing and having fun and playing sports and all that stuff. So it was a great decision for me.
Where do you see the value of a college experience?
Yeah. For me, just because I wasn't Mr. Academia, for me, it was all about the relationships, and still is to this day. It's benefited my relationships that I forged at Augustana. I mean, are super important parts of my life today, and the people that I come in contact with in my business and personal life are, a lot of the connections that I made back then. So for me, the relationships were huge. It was obviously a smaller, private, liberal arts education. I was actually a social work major, which gets a lot of chuckles out of people when they see that I'm running a successful real estate business now. But I say I use my education, my social work degree every single day in my business that I'm running now, and the relationships and the counseling that I do every day in my current role. So I think a lot of the aspects of Augustana, from the relationships to the classroom to the sports, all of that stuff really was
Post-graduation,
instrumental.
did you ever think about spending a little time in another part of the country and then maybe coming back one day, or did you know that you wanted to stay in Sioux Falls?
Good question. I did move away all the way down to Omaha
That's right.
right after I
That's right.
graduated.
So you
Yeah,
did.
I spent a whopping 6 months living far away from home, 3 hours south of here, and then got a job back in Sioux Falls at Augustana. So I came back to work at the university we graduated from, and so just kind of ended up back here, and we left for a little while after we got married again, but then found our way home again. So I don't know, just kind of always, this place has kind of always been home and always tugged at us a little bit. So.
And my mom in Little Windham, where I grew up,
Yeah.
a town of 5,000,
Right.
just across the border.
Right.
There's a Toro manufacturing plant there, and my mom always was encouraging me to come back, that she'd get me a job at Toro,
Sure.
and I could enjoy
Sure.
the relationship in the hometown as
Right.
well. But she would have, a nice consolation for me would have been Sioux Falls, a
Yeah.
beautiful city here,
Yeah.
and I considered it, but I got this military bug.
Right.
And the reason I bring that up is it took me away from
Right.
all of these wonderful relationships
Right.
and rich friendships and family, and hardly anybody knew Augustana what.
Right.
And they usually would guess incorrectly in the one in Rock Island,
Right.
instead of the one in
Yes.
Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
And so there was a little bit of geographic education I could
Sure.
give to folks. But the point being is, I went out around and did this military life. I kind of just said goodbye
Mm-hmm.
to a lot of those
Mhm.
friendships, and I didn't have the benefit of that Augustana alumni that you did have.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about that again, the value of college. How using that network, how has it benefited you, even with that first job? And you can talk about that, how that prepared you for where you are right now. But how did those relationships that were here in Sioux Falls benefit you?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. I I mean, I'm a huge advocate. I have two sons in college right now, one in Sioux Falls and one in St. Peter, Minnesota. Um, and the question comes up a lot as you're looking at colleges with your kids of, obviously the cost of college is significant now, especially depending on where they go. But the value is really what you're asking, right? Is the value of this place, is the value of this education worth this? And that this might be $70,000, it might be $30,000, it might be $15,000, but you have to make the decision as a student and a parent of, is this experience and education valuable? And I think it's an important question these days, because people are questioning whether you need to pay X amount to get a diploma if that's all you're going for. And I think that's where maybe my experience was different from some other people's experience or opinions on the matter. And that's that I just feel like the experience, the relationships, the growth that happens in the classroom, but equally as important, just living amongst 2,000, 4,000 other kids your age and having to figure out life together has been invaluable for me, and probably was worth whatever me and my parents paid for it at the time. I'm hopeful that the same is true for my kids, that it's going to be worth it for them. So I'm a big advocate. I know some other people would say, a degree's a degree, and
it's where you go, and are you a good fit?
Yeah.
And are you really investing in those relationships? Are you investing with relationships with a professor or two? Or are you working? What are you trying to do? As long as it's intentional, I think it works, because the opportunity cost is there as well. People can have wonderful experience. You can enlist in the military when you graduate from high school. You can go work for Hague Realty and not go to college and find different places to go and find, if you are smart and you're learning and you find mentors and you find teachers and you're engaging in that lifelong, it can work.
Right.
But certainly college experience
I think
worked
finding,
well for you, and it worked well for me.
And I think part of it, as I think about it too, it's finding a place and people who are going to encourage you to grow, to take risks and to challenge yourself. And I think so often maybe we just find a place or a people that surround us that are helping us go through the motions and aren't stretching us.
I like that, because college is such a broad term. You could go to college and have a great experience, an average experience, or even unfortunately a poor experience based on where you go, what professors you have, what's that first year class look like. Same thing with the military. Is your first boss a toxic leader? Well, it's going to be a little more challenging, and you might not like that experience.
Right.
And so there's a little bit of you make your own luck, but there's a little bit of the unknown there. And if you're in a situation like that, it's finding coaches, mentors to help you through those things. That's part of this as well. And although the Augustana experience was wonderful and good times were rolling, there were some times, I'm sure, where the grade came back, or the girlfriend broke up with you, or whatever happened. There are challenging times. And so how did you seek out and find mentors during that stage? And even going into that first job or two, you came back from Omaha and took the job as an admissions representative. Tell us about that experience, and maybe as you propelled from Augustana, still being here, who did you lean on to help sharpen your iron?
Yeah, good questions. I would say, thinking back to my my student days, I guess, at college, I feel like I had some, really good coaches from the athletic side. I had some really good professors who I felt like I leaned on for. I mean, I didn't know any idea what I wanted to do with my life. So I felt like I had a relationship with them, a personal relationship, where I could go sit down with them and seek out some mentorship, which I needed, just a little direction in life. When it came to my first job after college, that's where I feel like I really started to take maybe a bigger look at life, that I wasn't just a clueless student anymore
Mhm,
without any rudder of where I was going. But I needed some guidance as far as, I want to watch this person. The first guy that hired me at Augustana was Bob Prelogger,
mhm,
and he was a great mentor to this day. One of my all-time favorite bosses that I ever had, but somebody who probably knew this wasn't my long-term career,
mhm.
but kind of took me under his wing and showed me what a boss could be, showed me what a father figure could be, and give me some direction in life. So I felt like there were some built-in people throughout those stages of my life, whether it be professors or coaches or my first boss that really I admired and looked up to. And I don't know that I necessarily sought them out, but maybe got lucky that
Mhm.
they happened to be placed in my life at that time.
When and how did you start thinking about real estate?
Hmm. Uh, you look back on life and why did this happen and why did
Yeah,
this happen,
yeah.
and it's weird how things work out in those ways. But I mean, I got to give credit to my Augustana relationships and friendships. You and I have a good friend from Augustana, John Sutton, who when I was getting a little bit of an itch to leave Augustana and find a real career. John was in the insurance industry at the time, still is actually today,
Mhm.
and encouraged me to look into an insurance company that he was working with, which I did, and did some interviewing and got hired. And that's when we moved away from Sioux Falls right after we got married. Moved to Owatonna, Minnesota, Northfield,
Nice.
Minnesota,
Yeah.
and then down to Iowa City for my
Buckeyes.
for my long-term real or insurance career that lasted maybe about 5 years. But that's he was instrumental in guiding me in that direction. When I knew that the insurance world wasn't a real fit for me, he was also a mentor, a friend to me who I think had maybe just purchased his first house and had worked with a real estate agent at that time and had said to me, if you're gonna get out of the insurance industry, you should really look at this because I think you'd be really good at it. So again, an Augustana connection that kind of said, you should maybe check this out. And that's when I started checking it out.
So, what did, at this stage, um, what advice would you have for young people kind of finding themselves professionally, that 22, 26, 28-year old who's maybe in a career they're not sure about,
Hmm.
they're looking at something else. What worked in that mentor relationship? What were those pearls of wisdom that worked with you? And what would you say now with the benefit of 30 years plus in the professional world? What would
Yeah.
you say that would benefit somebody
Well, the
thinking?
the things that benefited me were um, I felt like I really needed to take a a self analysis of what did I feel I was good at and had gifts in those areas, um, and then the benefits obviously that I was looking for in a career. So in the insurance world, I thought I would be good at it because I like people. I was fairly good at talking to people. I thought I'd be a fairly good fit in the sales world. I loved the thought of being an independent contractor and owning my own business and working as hard as I wanted to work and all of that good stuff. I just found out pretty quickly that I didn't like that industry for me. I think it's a great industry. I think it's a great
Mhm.
career. It just wasn't for me, and mostly because I felt like in that sales world that I was always bugging people. Um, I was always calling on friends and family. I was calling on businesses in the
Mm.
insurance world, and I just always couldn't get over the hump of feeling like I was bugging people. So when I knew that wasn't my long-term career, I really felt like I took uh, a deep look in the mirror and said, "All right, what didn't you like that? What are you good at?
Mhm.
And where would that play in the world? Is it medical sales? Is it pharmaceuticals? Is it real estate? What is it?" And one of the things that when we knew we were coming back to Sioux Falls that I had going for me was that I just really felt like I had all of these relationships that you and I just got done talking about. And what industry would benefit me? My wife hates when I say this, but I think I said to her at the time that I need to find a way to leverage all these relationships. She hates that word because she feels like it sounds like I'm using these relationships to get here or get there. But it was true that I felt like one of my gifts was just all of these relationships that I'd made over the years. And so how could I parlay that into a career?
One of the reasons you have strong relationships because people trust you, enjoy you, they value your thoughts on all sorts of things, and I guess you can call it leveraging that,
Yeah.
but it's just something
Yeah.
within real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to a
You
young
build
person,
rapport
yeah.
in somebody, okay, I'm on a journey to find my first home.
Right.
Will you help me? Or hey, I need to get this home sold correctly.
Right.
Educate and find me. That rapport has to be built.
Yeah.
And so if you have that and your reputation's out there,
right,
it just makes sense.
Yeah.
So
and I felt like it was one of my gifts, but I really had to look at, you said what advice would you give to young people who are looking at where do I go, what direction do I head? I mean, I think really looking at what your gifts are and figuring out what you're passionate about. I don't feel like I was passionate about real estate because I didn't know much about it, but I was certainly passionate about people and helping people, and I knew that I could do that in this industry.
Yeah, let's talk for a minute. You were married when you made that transition back from Iowa to here, looking at a new industry. Married at that time for how long? Did you have kids yet? And how were you kind of balancing a strong, healthy marriage with the uncertainty professionally and needing to care and provide and launch?
Yeah, so when we moved back to Sioux Falls, I was probably 27 or 28 years old, no kids, married for a couple of years. And so when I came back here, I continued to work in the insurance industry for 2 or 3 more years, and then got out of that world when I got into the real estate world. So got into real estate in 2002, didn't have any kids at the time. My first child was born in 2003. So my wife JJ and I were married 7 years before we had any kids. So we were just kind of trying to figure out first, where we were, what direction we were going. She was a school teacher at the time, and so she was doing that. I was doing the insurance thing until I switched over to the real estate world in 2002, and have been there ever since.
Yeah, the culture of the last 20 years, and I think pendulum might be coming back a bit, is kind of said, hey, why don't you wait 10, 15, 20 years until you get married and you have kids? Let's just make sure we have everything worked out and you have your home, you have your career, you've gotten some of the travel and adventure out of your system. Okay, now let's look to have kids.
Yeah.
It's that phase. You obviously didn't choose that route. You and JJ didn't. What are your thoughts, and how did it work for you to have that adventure and some uncertainty with the launch? And it still is fine, because what I'm trying to advocate more and more for is for people to make those decisions, drop those roots, and live that adventure together and figure it out. And there's no perfect time.
Yeah.
But you work hard and you keep knocking on doors. It's going to work, and it's okay if you have a wife and a child. Even. Yeah. And if you make the decision like this too, don't have to go across the country.
Right.
To have your first job or go to college.
Right.
Use the resources you have nearby and choose a little bit, arguably wisely, to assist you when you embark on that family road. So it obviously worked for you. Just kind of maybe talk about some of the thoughts.
Yeah, I think both JJ and I are planners. Maybe her probably even more than me, but I think we both wanted to, if I think back on it and remember correctly, I feel like we both wanted to spend some time not only with each other, getting to know each other more, but also just getting established and feeling like we were ready or more ready to start a family. And so I think it was important to us to really kind of figure out where we wanted to live, what jobs we wanted to be doing, and that we were comfortable with each other and where we were at in the world before we started bringing other little ones into the world. So I'm not saying that's the right way to go, but it worked for us. So
back to real estate. Do you remember your first home?
I do. Yeah.
What strikes out that first year in the industry?
Yeah.
And did you have any hesitations after you made that first step? And
Oh
what was
yeah.
that like?
Oh, lots of hesitations. I
Yes.
mean, I've never had I had a career before that was uh, full commission, 100% commission. You either starved or you made it, depending on whether you got something sold or not. So that was a eye opener. But I was prepared for it. I was ready to go. I worked my butt off for the first 5 or 6 years to get it up and running and established. But it was scary for sure. You leave a job at that time. I think I left a job where I was making $45,000 a year or something like that, and to say, all right, I need to sell 24 houses to make up that amount of money, and I don't know if I can do it, but here we go. So it was scary and fun, and but the market was certainly different 24 years ago than it is today. A first time home buyer home was $114,000, and the typical home you sold was probably $175,000, and so that's changed a lot. But that was the first home I sold was $114,000 or something like that. So
quite a journey. You're an entrepreneur at that point. Owning your own
that's
business,
right.
You're figuring
Yeah.
it out, and
not a very successful one, but
but part of being an entrepreneur is learning.
Yeah.
It's making mistakes, as we all do,
Yeah.
and applying those mistakes wisely
Yeah.
by learning. And so, talk about that road, mistakes that you made that you kept with you and you've used when you mentor others and coach others, and even just that road then from entrepreneur to leader to a larger firm.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk more about, okay, you're not entrepreneuring right now.
Right.
You are leading a large organization.
Yeah. I never really analyzed when I got into the industry, I analyzed it from just a individual producer perspective, and just worrying about myself and what could I make and could we survive. Right. And it's one of those careers that has no salary and no benefits, and so you have to figure all that out on your own. So it's stressful. It's also exciting. The weird thing about it is I never analyzed the business until I got into the management side. The strange industry that we're in. There are 18-year-olds up to 85-year-olds that are working in this industry side by side, and there's super full-time agents, super part-time agents that want to make $20,000 a year, agents that want to make $1 million a year, and it's just this weird ship to try to manage. And you usually think of your manager or your owner as someone who's trying to get everybody rowing the same direction. And in this industry, nobody wants to row the same direction. They're just going whatever direction they want to go and trying to make it work. And some are making it work, earning $40,000 a year, and some are feeling like complete failures that they're making $400,000 a year. So it's just this weird industry. And when I was a producer coming into it, didn't really look at any of that stuff. Now, since I've switched over the last 10 or 15 years to the management side, it's been an interesting business to kind of analyze.
Your skill sets with managing, and then even the transition to CEO and a bit of an ownership equity that you have. How does that mindset shift work for you? How did it work for you?
Yeah, it worked. It wasn't what I started out intending to do. I was never intending to own a real estate company. I was never intending to manage people. I kind of evolved into that for a variety of factors, and again, whether it's fate or however that stuff works out, but timing just was right to get into the ownership side. Got to keep being able to talk here.
Absolutely.
So refresh my memory.
Well, there's a lot of careers out there where lawyers, you could be a really good lawyer, not necessarily a strong manager of lawyers. You can be strong in the military, and you can shoot a target this big from
Yeah.
500 meters, but you don't know how to instruct others to do it. So how you were strong with clients, doing all that, but then less time with clients, more time mentoring. How did that work for you?
Yeah, I think
know you had that.
I think my mentor in this business became my partner, Bill Haig, who was a longtime owner of the company that we operate. And I think he obviously saw something in me early on. After 5 years in the business, he offered me the opportunity to become a partner with him. So I bought into the business at that time. And so the two of us co-owned the company for 15 years or so together. And I think he obviously saw some quality or qualities in there that made me not only a good producer, which I was mostly just worried about taking care of my own clients, to evolving into the management side of things, where we now have 185 agents here at our company. And so my clients really became my agents that work here, and not their clients who are out buying and selling properties. But so it was something that he must have seen, and probably a skill set that I've developed over the years with you.
What do you think that was? What do you think he saw? What would your wife say he saw?
I think just a relationship guy. Okay. That's what my business is about now. It's not about my relationships with my clients. It's about my relationships with my agents, and creating a culture that they want to be a part of. Because the other interesting thing about our industry is they're all independent contractors. So tomorrow they can all choose to go and work at a different real estate company if they want to. They're not employees. And so the only reason they stay here is because of the culture and the value that they feel like they have at this company. And so my job is, nurturing that culture and that environment that they want to be a part of, because they can all go somewhere else tomorrow.
Some people don't love making that transition, but obviously it worked with you. Looking at the industry today, if you were going to be the keynote at some regional or national conference, what would be the themes that you'd emphasize about the state of real estate today, where we've been, where we're going?
Big question. Jeepers. The state of real estate today. Well, to enlighten your listeners, over the last 4 years here, my life's changed. We sold the business almost 4 years ago to Edina Realty out of Minnesota, which ultimately is owned by Berkshire Hathaway. So a big corporation bought us. And when I was looking ahead at, because that's what I was doing 6 years ago, is trying to figure out, what does the industry look like in the next 10 years? And I felt, my personal opinion was that the industry looks great for an individual producer. I always think there's going to be a great place for an individual agent to be able to serve clients and help them through this complicated process. I wasn't so sure what it looked like for someone who wanted to own a real estate company. And looking back now, so that was 4 years ago almost, I still would have that same sentiment. I would still say, I'm not sure what owning a real estate company looks like over the next 10 years. And I wasn't all that concerned about Zillow coming and taking over our company, but I wasn't so sure about Amazon or Google or somebody. I just didn't know. And since then, AI is now obviously becoming a great disruptor or a great tool in the world, and that'll change the real estate industry in some way, like it'll change a lot of industries. So still super confident in this industry as far as an individual producer goes. Probably fairly comfortable for myself at this point that I'm not owning a real estate company.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. I mean, you've worked hard. You've evolved. You've learned. You've applied. You found the right relationships.
Yeah.
Haig Realty, born in 1945. That makes it 80 years.
80 years old. Yep.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Yeah. It's been a great,
You're talking about
great
culture
company.
and company.
Yeah.
How, I'm sure anytime you sell a business, something that you've given so much, you want to make sure the
Yeah.
buyer is going to keep the culture the same way. So tell us about the culture of Hegg Realty and why it's meant so much to you, and you've kind of taken that baton on and taken it to
great
the next
question.
chapter.
Yeah. I looked at about 5 or 6 different companies when I got into the business. Hegg was the longest running, what I felt like was the best brand in our market. Like you said, family-owned company since 1945. Odie Hegg started it back in 1945. Brought his son Pete Hegg into the business in the 70s. His nephew Bill Hegg into the business in the early 80s after he graduated from Augustana. And they ran it as a family until Odie retired, and Bill and Pete then as cousins ran the company for years and years. And then I came in and screwed up the family the family tradition.
Change your name.
Bill
Hegg.
Bill was running the residential side of the business. Pete had gone and started the commercial side of the business with a different company. And so it was really Bill who was running the residential side, and he didn't have any kids or anything that wanted to take over or come into the business with him. So he asked me to be a part of it. And so we bought Pete out of the business, and Bill and I ran it together. Bill managed it. I kept selling for a number of years, and then we kind of flip-flopped roles, and Bill worked his way into retirement more, and I moved into full-time management probably 8 years ago or so. So it's been a great company. It's the only real estate company I've ever worked with. It's the leader in our market. It's the leader in our state. When I started here, we had 35 agents. We've grown to over 200 a few years ago. Now we're down to about 185 agents. But so it's certainly evolved quite a bit in the 24 years that I've been a part of it. But it's been a great place to be.
So a CEO of a large firm like that, what's a typical day for a guy like you? And then what are the couple of issues that bubble up that's happening this month?
Well,
this season.
I oftentimes joke that I love being an agent. That's not a joke. I did love being an agent, but I love being an agent because I got to work with the clients that I knew, that I liked, that trusted me. Now that I'm on the management side, I don't even get to work with my agents' fun clients. I just get to work with the problem children. And so a lot of my day is spent putting out fires. And when I say putting out fires, we're not dealing with life and death situations in the real estate business typically. We're typically dealing with, contracts that have gone awry, or closings that didn't happen, or financing that fell apart, or a buyer that got cold feet and is backing out. So I have a sign on my desk that says I got a minute, because every time somebody walks in my office, they ask the same question. Do you got a minute? And usually, do you got a minute doesn't mean that something good is happening. Yeah, and it's usually not 1 minute either. So that's a lot of my day is, but that's the role is I got 185 agents who all have clients who all have some sort of issue, and so when they walk in my office, it's usually not something super fun that's going on, but once in a while an agent will come in and have a great day and they want to share it. But a lot of times my days are spent dealing with that. We deal with lawsuits in our business that some buyer's not happy with the house they bought, and
the blessings of leadership.
That's right.
There.
That's right.
Embrace that.
Yeah. But it's also serving people, right? It's I think the agents appreciate the fact that they have somebody to come to and to bounce that stuff off of, and to help them through those situations, and to problem solve and troubleshoot. And so that's a lot of what it is. But I've got a great team, got a great staff team. And so, part of the fun part of the job, I think, is thinking about how we can continue to grow, and how we can continue to cultivate these relationships with these agents so they want to stay here. And so, it's all the training that we do. It's all the relationships.
Yeah. You talked about growth, scaling a business.
Yeah.
One thing about starting a business and getting it going, kind of you're doing a lot of work as Hegg did for years. You come in now, and your job is to grow it, to help scale it, while still maintaining the same culture, if not improving and continuing to foster it the way your personality is. How do you grow, scale a business like this well, and not doing it too fast, and making sure the people you're retaining and bringing on, they're all good fits?
Yeah.
How do you do that? And with all that, and even with the issues that you were talking about when you have just a minute, how are you taking care of yourself?
Yeah.
And keeping yourself young, youthful, and in good spirits, because that sometimes leadership can be that burden and bring you down. How do you?
Well, when you're talking about scaling a business, you got to remember you're talking to a social work major, right? So there wasn't a lot of training that this guy had for scaling a business. So I felt like my gifts were people, right? And understanding people and helping people, and so I kind of approached it from that angle. When it came to scaling a business, I didn't approach it from the financials and the profit and loss statement, but I did learn early on, I feel like, that you needed to look at certain things on your financial statement as investments instead of expenses. And so when you're talking about scaling, and when you're talking about going from 35 agents to 200 agents, you certainly need to invest in your business, and that a lot of times means people. When I started here, we had 2 staff people, and now we've got 10 or 11 staff people. And so I think, investing in your business is important. Investing in your people is important. Investing in good people is important. And, even structures that, we went from 3 kind of mediocre office spaces to 1 nice office. And so all of those things come with scaling, and come with culture and keeping your agents happy. And but I feel like a lot of people in the real estate industry evolve into a leadership role without really setting out to do that. It seems like a lot of my peers are real estate agents who were pretty good real estate agents and just happened to end up owning a company. So there was no real training in the business side of it, and the how do we take care of people, and how do we staff an office, and how do we do those things? So I feel like in the industry nationwide, that holds true, is that there's a lot of good salespeople who are just happen to be running companies, and they're not very good at running companies. They were really good salespeople, and they probably should have stayed just salespeople, but they wanted to see their name on the sign, or for whatever reason, they ended up owning a real estate company, and now they're doing a kind of mediocre job of running a real estate company. So
if an agent comes on the street, comes to you and wants to come into this Gregg family, they're interviewing you a bit, but you're also interviewing them to make sure they're a good fit. What makes a good fit for a team member with Gregg, and then how are you developing them? What kind of routine strategy do you have?
Good question. After 24 years of analyzing what makes a good agent, it's really hard to predict. There are people who are successful who I never thought would be successful, and there are people who have all the skills who can't make it work, and it's for a lot of different reasons. But the 2 things that I really feel like in this industry people need, if they want to be really successful, are they need to know a bunch of people. Because there's not too many companies you're going to go to work for that just give you a bunch of leads. They have to generate their own leads. And so their relationships and their ability to create relationships is hugely important. And then secondly, I really feel like this is a counseling business. People think this is a sales business because you're selling a house or a property of some sort. But rarely do you, if ever, I don't think in 24 years I've ever had to convince somebody that they need to either buy a property or sell a property. They're already in the market. They're just needing some counseling to get them through this process of either listing and selling their property or finding a property. So it's a counseling business, and it's a marketing business, because you got to figure out how to get your phone to ring, and that's based on your relationships that you have. So it's really those 2 things. And so when we're interviewing people and trying to figure out if they're the right fit for the business, those are 2 of the big things that we're looking for. They could be a great salesperson, but if they don't know how to build relationships and they're not very good at the counseling side of this process, I don't think it's going to work very well for them. So we're analyzing that. It's a tough business for really young people to be in because their relationships aren't the ones who are out buying properties, and that's who they're connected to. So it's tougher if you're younger. You're just not in those circles that are buying or selling a bunch of properties right now. So, but we're culture-wise here at our company, we're certainly not looking for a bunch of new agents to come in here. A lot of companies are just looking for anybody and everybody. It really has to be somebody that wants to do this as a full-time career and not just a part-time hobby, because I would say, I don't know, 75% of the agents in the country do this job as a part-time hobby, and we're looking for more of the ones that are looking for it as a full-time career.
So a large established firm like this, what's the strategy for training look like? So what's the training plan for your agents, especially when you have them, like I said before, there's a wide, diverse type of personalities and expectations.
Yeah. Most companies don't have in this industry don't have a training program. They'll maybe hook you up with an existing agent and let you follow them around on some calls and see how they do it and tell you good luck. A company like this is obviously had a little more invested in experience in that area. So we've invested in a education director for our company. We've invested in you met Brady earlier. Brady's our agent development director. So their jobs are developing our agents. And so every week we've got training sessions that are going on for our agents. We just had one this morning here, as you saw a bunch of people in here. And so every week we're holding some sort of training session. Outside of that, those two people, along with myself, are meeting with agents on a weekly basis to set up a marketing plan for them, make sure they have a business plan and they know what direction they're headed, so that it's easy in this industry to sit on your couch at home because you don't have to show up every day, you don't have to punch a clock. And so if you're not self-motivated, it's easy to do that, but having a business plan and having people in place that are helping them with that gives them direction every single day of things that they're supposed to be doing those days. And so they can't ever really say, I don't have any appointments today, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So both of those people that we've invested in have been awesome at making sure our agents are not only trained, but also beyond the initial training, they have things to be doing every day from a marketing standpoint.
Life transitions have been really important to me lately, especially since I retired from the military. I've been thinking a lot, and some of my friends who have made that transition better than others, and what makes it, doesn't make it. Transitions can come a lot of different ways. One can be graduating from high school or college and going on to the workforce. It can be getting married, a transition. Getting a home, your first home, it's a transition. Getting through that period successfully. That's where agents are vital to help them get through that transition. You just mentioned earlier that you had sold to Edina Realty. At some point in the future, you won't be doing this anymore. What's that? What are you doing to prepare for that transition?
Yeah. Good question. I'm thinking about it a lot. I'm eking up on 55. I know that seems young to some, but
I smell age.
Not so young to me. But I love thinking about it. I'm kind of, like I said earlier, I'm kind of a preparer, kind of a planner, and so one of the big things that hit me a few years ago is we moved out of our other buildings I told you and moved into this one. At that point in time, I'd spent 15 years in the real estate business, and as I was turning off the lights at the old building, I started thinking about these transitions that you're talking about, and I've categorized them into my 15-year theory. I know everybody. It's easy to think of things. Yeah, it's easy to think of things in 10-year increments because that's kind of how our brains are trained. But I kind of came to the realization that I think things are in 15-year increments. Ages 0 to 15, childhood, growth, education. 15 to 30, lots of cool things happening, right? College, first careers, getting married, all that stuff. Then we got 30 to 45, which I was kind of in at that time. And then we've got 45 to 60. So I really think there are 6 15-year periods that end at age 90 for most of us. And so I was shutting off the lights in that old building, and I realized, Cal, I've been here 15 years. That's one of my segments of my life. And I was about 45 years old at the time. So I was ending my 3rd segment, and I was at halftime. My 3rd of my 6 segments. So I do love thinking about these transitions. But that really, as I was shutting off those lights, got me thinking seriously about, all right, what's this next segment look like? 45 to 60. You know, I'm now 2/3 of the way through that segment, right? And so I love thinking about it. I don't know that I have all the answers for it. I'm a planner in the sense that I've always said I want to be able to be done doing what I'm doing at 55. And I don't know exactly what that next chapter means for me. Maybe it means that I'm still here doing this. Maybe it means that I'm closing this chapter and figuring out my next. But it's exciting. I feel like I'm in this industry. We talked about real estate, and we can be done talking about real estate and talk about life, because I like that better. But in real estate, and my social work degree and my counseling of people, we just deal every day with these transitions. It's every time somebody is selling or buying a house, it's usually based on a transition, right? They're moving, their job's changing, they're having kids, the kids are leaving the house, they're retiring, they're dying, they're getting divorced, they're getting married. It's all these major life transitions that we get to be a part of, and it's going back to my social work degree. It's where I feel like, some of my gifts came into play with being able to help people and counsel people through some of these major transitions. So I've really liked being able to do that in my industry. Not something that I thought, when I was getting into it, I was like, okay, can I make money? Can I, but it's really turned out to be kind of this unique blend of what I felt I was good at and what I kind of went to school for, and now being able to help people and serve people in these crazy transitions in their life.
Definitely not a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
For you then.
No.
It's a bit of a crossroads.
Oh yeah, for sure. My wife worries about it a lot. I mean, I think she worries about it more than I do. She's like, I don't know what you're gonna do if you think you're gonna retire someday, because you're not gonna be. She thinks it's gonna last like 3 weeks, and then I'm gonna go batty.
She knows you well.
And I'll have to figure out some podcast that I can host or something.
I know a guy you can co-host with. Gregg Gohl. But a point on that, the crossroads, I kind of call it a midlife commencement.
Yeah, I like it.
I love the word commencement. Yeah. It's just, okay, it's a fresh start. It's a new beginning. You're not stuck with anything. You can look fresh, and you're going to have that right now. There's a little bit of liberation, a little bit of freedom that's going to come with this. And how are you said you don't have the answers. Yeah. Well, what are the questions you're asking? What's this discovery process for this next chapter looking like for you? Because you're not alone. There are lots of graying folks out there that have found some success in this world. Yeah. But it's not enough. They're searching for something more and a little more purpose and significance. Yeah.
I think part of it for me, and maybe the reason I'm not stressed about it, is I'm just super grateful. Like, I think a key word in my office for my people is just perspective. Mm-hmm. They walk in my door every day with a crisis of some sort, and I try to help them navigate the perspective on their situation. And usually we're not, even though they're up in arms and the world's on fire, usually there's not too many real estate emergencies in the world. And so to give them some perspective on, all right, take a step back, look at your life, look at this situation. It's going to be okay. We're going to figure this out. And I think the same goes for me in this next transition or the stage that I'm in. Is perspective's a wonderful thing, and taking things into perspective, I feel like the things that are important in my life are still going to be important. My faith and my family and my kids and my mom and my relationships and my friends and those are the things that have always been important to me and will I think still will be in whatever this next transition looks like. I feel like I don't know if this is true for you and your military background, but I feel like our parents' generation really found their identity in their careers. And there's still some of our peers who find their identity in their careers too. I certainly never have been one of those people, and since my identity isn't selling real estate, I think that transition is going to be easier for me when the time comes.
Bingo. People that transition from the military, especially upon retirement,
Yeah,
those who struggle the most are the ones whose identity was really wrapped up
Yeah.
in wearing the uniform,
yeah,
having that
yeah,
respect, the
Yeah.
dynamic of service in that manner.
yeah.
Take a step back, find perspective, your word.
Mm-hmm.
There's infinite numbers of ways to serve in
Right.
this world. Wearing combat boots is one great
Right.
way, but that's not the only way.
Right.
There's so many other ways to find that
Correct.
fulfillment.
Yeah.
And so I think that's right.
Yeah. I
so
think
we're-
the next phase, the next transition, whatever that is just what you said. It's not for me or you probably to sit on a beach somewhere and drink pina coladas. It's more what's my next service area? What's my next way that I can be beneficial to society and make this place better? I think that's an important thing that I have really, I don't know, has motivated me here in my career is just a desire to make things better. Better for my agents, better for the people around me, better for our clients. And I feel like that will be an integral part of the next transition as well. It might be something different than real estate. It might be, something more community related or service, church related or whatever that is. But it'll certainly, for me to be fulfilled, I feel like I'm going to need to be serving others, making the world a better place through making my community a better place or my church a better place or my family better in some way.
The military has a concept called movement to contact.
Yeah.
And when you don't know where the enemy is, you sometimes just have to move out.
Yeah.
And when you're out there in the battle space, the enemy will show himself.
Yeah.
And then, you develop your plan and how to attack whatever
Love
that
it.
is.
Yeah.
Taking that to the concept here,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast and trying to figure out is it puts me into the battle space of ideas. It puts me in to the dynamics of other people who maybe are wrestling because I have no idea what doors are going to open, what windows are going to open or are going to close. But here I am moving to contact to see what comes, what transpires. And so I kind of told myself, I don't know where this is going to go, but I've already had a few soft knocks come and say, hey, what are you thinking? What are you doing? This is what I'm doing. And I think as much as possible, not sitting back and waiting, not saying you would, but in general, a lot of people will just say, oh, I'll just wait and my time will come. Yeah. And that was some advice that was given to me a long time ago. And there's some goodness with that mindset, but there's more to it. You can't just wait for the time to come. You got to make your opportunities. Yeah. And when they come, you got to be at the ready to go through that door. Yeah. And so
you and I talked on a similar note. One of the statements I loved that somebody made was the readiness delusion. That it's kind of like the movement to contact. And I feel like when you're out here doing this, you're saying that I'm the enemy and you're moving into this contact. I hope I'm not the enemy. Okay, good. But the readiness delusion, I think, is along those lines. It's stating that you're not going to be fully ready. Right? It's kind of a delusion that, okay, I'm just going to wait until I'm ready. Because whether it's your next job or your whatever, having a
Getting
kid,
married,
having a
having a
kid,
kid.
getting married, you're not
There's
going to
no
be
perfect
ready,
time.
right? And so there's this delusion of I'm going to wait until I'm ready, and those people are usually still waiting.
And we need good families to keep having babies.
Yeah, right.
You
Not
might be
not
ready.
mine anymore.
You might be
not
ready.
mine
You
anymore.
might
but
still
other
be ready.
people,
You
yeah,
can.
right. So it's that I like that concept of the readiness delusion, and
I like
you're
that.
not, and you're going to have to make a move before you're ready a
Mhm.
lot of times.
Mhm.
And I feel like as I look back on my career and my life, and that's true. I don't think I was ready to be a dad. I don't. My wife would probably tell you I wasn't ready to be married. I certainly wasn't ready to run a business and own a company, but I kept taking a risk, and even though I wasn't quite ready yet, and figured it out. And so that's one word of advice that I would
I love that
give
because there's
to.
the cultural dynamic we
Yeah.
brought before. And some people are waiting to take that step
Yeah,
until they
they're never
are
ready.
ready. They
Yeah.
never will be fully, but
Yeah.
be more ready. Well, what's the level of readiness? Just get out there.
Yeah. The
Get in the
analysis,
game and
the
participate.
analysis
Have-
paralysis
Yeah.
usually just handcuffs some people, and they're never gonna take that risk to
Right.
really find out what they could be.
Where do you find joy? Where do you find peace? You talked a bit about your faith earlier.
Mm-hmm.
How does faith drive you, and where do you find enjoyment in your life?
Well, mine isn't. Mine's pretty boring, I would say. It's not rocket science. I mean,
You weren't boring in college.
Mine is, part of it deals with college, but mine is faith, family, friends.
Yep.
And I put fun in there too. But I'm not super good at the fun part unless it's related to my family or my friends. Then I don't have tons of hobbies, or I'm not a big exercise guy, or I play a little golf. But really I think the faith aspect, I would say, has just always been a part of me. I grew up in a super faith-filled household. I was blessed to have awesome Christian parents, and just that instilled the right things, I think, in me at an early age, and fortunately some of them stuck, but I think it guided, it gives you a compass, is what my faith life does, and I think has helped me not only in choosing a wife and choosing to have kids, but also in my business world. I think it's just that example of what a Christian leader, how they act and how they behave and how they make decisions, and so that's, I think, just kind of always been an important part of my leadership and my story. But my joy comes from my family and I was fortunate enough to fool a girl into marrying me who makes me better, and so
What kind of blackmail did you have on?
Man,
I tell you what.
it's a weak moment in her life, but
Speaking
somehow
of
it's
bribery and
worked out.
blackmail, speaking of bribery and blackmail for a second, my wife and I joke sometimes about not the blackmail piece, but the bribery piece. How do we encourage our kids, unlike what I did, to come back and gravitate back towards home? So if you're, what was your transition to fatherhood like, and where do you find the excitement, joy, fulfillment as a dad?
Oh man!
And how do you keep that going?
The
whole
I don't know how. I don't
cat's
know.
in the cradle.
It's like the readiness delusion. I wasn't ready for it. I figured it out as I went. I was lucky enough to have awesome kids, and
you chose wisely.
Yeah. So they're great kids. I don't know that my goal is to get them to come back home.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's my goal for them.
Yeah.
As a selfish parent, I feel like, I'd love to have them.
What's your goal for
keep
them?
them around forever. Just raise them to be independent, faithful kids who are going to make good decisions, and that might mean they choose to take a job across the country or across the world, or so I don't know. So I just want them to be happy, want them to make good decisions, want them to choose a good partner, to spend their to spend their days with. I think just based on their upbringing, they'll want to have kids. I think that'll be a, I just think they've seen the joy that we've had in that, and so yeah, you just want them to be happy. And
Your 80th birthday.
Hmm.
What do you want to be said about you and to you?
Am I going to
In
be
that
around
setting.
or not?
Yeah, you're going to be around.
Whether I'm around or not,
No,
they
you're
can
going
be
to be.
saying
You're going. I'm
stuff
thinking
about me.
Yeah, and then the follow-on is
Yeah,
at your funeral,
Yeah.
and what's a little more legacy there? What are those virtues? But the first one is, and maybe they're the same, but for some people, while you're still kicking, you're
Yeah.
still engaging, but you're not going to be in real estate anymore. You really are going to be figuring out what retirement's like. It could be 85, but something later on, the twilight of your life. But while you're still there, what would you want to be said about you and to you in your present? What kind of guy?
Yeah, I think one thing that my kids will say, I've got 5 rules for my kids, and my 5 rules have, my kids heard them every day when they got dropped off for school, from kindergarten through whenever I stopped dropping them off at school. I dropped my daughter off this morning. She's a freshman in high school, and she heard the 5 things this morning. So at some point, I also made them the 5 commandments for my office, for my agents, because I felt like if this is good enough for my kindergartner, it probably makes a lot of sense for my agents in my office too. So I'm thinking one thing they'll say is, these were Dad's 5 commandments, and they're: be nice to people, help somebody, ask good questions, be a leader, and be humble. Those are the 5. And so that's one of the things they'll probably say.
Yeah.
Here's what Dad taught us. Yeah.
I love that. Let's close with this. Bringing the real estate into this for a second. Advice for newlyweds. Use that money for a nice, expensive wedding.
Oh.
Or use that money for a down payment on a house. You can't have both. In closing, what do you do?
Wow. That's a good question. I just have my oldest child just got engaged.
Did not know that.
Huh? You didn't know that?
No.
So I have all kinds of advice for newlyweds right now.
If you really want to, you could find.
And we are looking at all kinds of wedding costs.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good, interesting question. I think it depends on the kid.
Yes.
It depends on the kid, but from my current experience, which is very raw right now, I think the relationships and the experience of getting married, I still think that's pretty important to kids and to young people who are getting married, and so a lot of them still do want that wedding and that ceremony and the people and the family and I think all of that is important. So I think they'll have plenty of time in their life to buy a house and buy a car and go on a trip and
rent for a year.
And that's it's a little hard for me to say as a parent who's now looking at paying for a wedding, because you can look at a wedding as being a one-night party, right? And then it's done, and you just spent $50,000, right? And so it would seem more practical to invest that into something.
We can't always be practical,
right? So I have a tough time answering that question, but knowing that I'm going through it right now, and my kid and his fiance really want to have a wedding, and that's important to them, and having their friends and family there, I'm not going to discourage that.
I love it, just because the institution of marriage is so important.
Yeah.
Anytime you can go and shout from the mountaintop that you love this person and you're going to live the rest of your life together.
Right.
It's maybe one little harder to say goodbye then at some point too after you've done that.
Right.
And I love that. Gregg, thank you.
Oh, thanks for what you're doing here.
Absolutely.
I don't know that I'm very enlightening to your listeners or have a super good story to tell, but I'm glad you're out here trying to make the
That's
world
why
better.
that's why you're successful. We
So-
we avoided the Norton Hall stories.
Good.
In this one.
Yeah.
That'll be for the after.
Avoided a lot
the
of
after
college
part- the
college
after.
stories.
But appreciate
Yeah,
and
you bet.
respect all you've done, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
To see what your next
Yeah.
chapter is going to look like.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate your friendship.
Cheers, my brother.
Thanks, buddy.